Hi guys, you're about to see my birth story with Lucas. It's pretty long, but that's because I decided not to edit any of it except for putting in some pictures of when he was born. I kept it raw. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye. So March 30th, 2017 was a Thursday. It was a regular day. I was working. I woke up that morning and everything was normal. I was actually 37 weeks and 5 days pregnant. And at that point in my pregnancy, I was very uncomfortable. Just everything hurts, usual. I'm sure everybody understands. That Monday before, I had done a 24-hour urine. I had turned it in, and that Wednesday, I had gotten a call saying that it was negative. I had no protein in my urine. I didn't have preeclampsia. All of my blood pressures had been perfect every time I went in and took it, so everything was okay. Thursday, I went into work. Everything was fine. I had been eating a lot of Domino's pizza because it was the only thing that delivered. And so that day I decided I wanted the boneless breaded chicken. So I ordered a boneless breaded chicken, but with a side of jalapeno peppers. That's where things got interesting. And I'm pretty sure spicy food made me go into labor, you guys. So that is not a myth. Okay, so I ate my lunch. Everything was perfectly fine. I went back to work. I think it was maybe like an hour after lunch. I had my lunch every day at 11:30. It was maybe around 12:30 to 1, and I started complaining about a little bit of back pain, like lower back pain, like the ones you get when you have your period. I never really had back pain before, so this was fairly new to me, but it wasn't too bad. It was just, the only thing that worried me was that it was on and off. So as I'm texting my coworker, because of course I'm still working, but texting my coworker, she has 2 little girls, older than my kids, and I explained it to her, my back pain. I didn't know what it was contractions at the time. My back pain was on and off. And she told me, well, why don't you time them? Because that sounds like what contractions are like. So I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I should do that. Since I was 37 weeks and 5 days, maybe it was contractions. I didn't know. So I started timing them, and they were maybe 10 minutes apart, lasting only a couple of seconds. So I was like, oh, maybe this is just what people call Braxton Hicks or whatever. So I didn't really mind it. As the day went on, though, they got more intense and more frequent. And I really didn't pay much attention to that because I was just like, oh, they're probably just Braxton Hicks. I didn't know that Braxton Hicks are supposed to just be a couple times a day, not frequent like that. I had no idea. That was just a first-time mom. So I text Fernando before the end of the day, and at that point it was 4 o'clock, and the pain was actually really painful, but it was still pretty far apart, like every 6 to 7 minutes or 8. It was just a little painful, especially because it was my lower back. And then also like period cramps up in the front where you're, oh God, brain fart, whatever that is. If I remember, I'll put it in the video. Ovaries, ovaries, dang it, where your ovaries are. Yeah, so like pain, like cramps, like your ovaries when you're on your period, but it was on and off just like the back pain, so it came together. And so I had text Fernando and I was like, I don't know if this might be it, but just so you know, I am having contractions. I don't know if they're real or if they're fake. At this point, I just kind of thought they were fake. So I go home. I was still in my uniform because I had just gotten home. It was maybe 5:30 to 6, somewhere around there. And my mom has blood pressure issues, but I don't. I have no blood pressure issues. I had no blood pressure issues either. Not during my pregnancy, not ever. So she has 2 cups at home. And at the time we were living with my mom, because I actually had to move out of my apartment because it was a townhouse. And because of my sciatica, I could not go up and down my stairs. So I ended up moving in with my mom, I think around 6 months. So 6 months? Yeah, sounds about right. So my mom, she's just we were talking normal. I was still in my uniform. I had just gotten through that door, and she's like, we should take your blood pressure. You know, I'm not taking your blood pressure, so let's just see what happens. So she took out a cuff. I sat down because you have to be really still for blood pressure. I was having contractions. She did not know, and I was actually in a pretty good amount of pain. They're very sharp. My lower back was actually really killing me, but I was trying not to worry her because typical Cuban, she exaggerates everything. I just thought, let me not even worry her until I know this is real. So I sat down. She put the cuff on me. It's one of those little wrist cuffs, which I really like. And it starts reading me, and it was, my first reading was 145 over 90 something. If anybody knows, has been pregnant before, the cutoff where you have to go to the hospital is 140 over 90. So as soon as my mom saw that, she started freaking out. Like I said, exaggerated Cuban. And she's always been a worry word. A little cough and she's like, let's go to the hospital. But because I was pregnant, she did say, you should go take a shower. We're going to the hospital right now. I listened. So I went, took a shower. I decided to wash my hair just in case today was the day. I didn't think so. I thought it was just like maybe because I was uncomfortable end of the day. My uniform had stockings, so that made me sweat like crazy. So I didn't really pay much attention, but I decided to wash my hair just in case. Fernando was gonna go with us. My mom went with us to the hospital, but we didn't take the bags because we weren't thinking. We just were like, let's go, get out the house, whatever. And then we go over to our nearest hospital, the one where I was supposed to deliver at, and I check into the ER. When I check into the ER, I tell the girl my blood pressure's high, and 37 weeks and 5 days, and I think I'm having contractions, but I don't know. And when I went into, and when she heard that, she's like, well, anything past 20 weeks, you're supposed to go to OB triage, which is upstairs. I had no idea. I never toured the hospital. I never listened. I just kind of did this pregnancy, you know, go with the flow. And so they call a wheelchair for me so they can wheel me through the hospital instead of having to get back in the car and go around to where the OB triage is. They were nice enough to just wheel me up to OB triage. At this point, I was in a little bit more pain. The contractions I felt were closer together. I wasn't timing them, but I did feel they were closer together, and they were very, very, very sharp at this point. My lower back was killing me, and every time I would get one, I would like hunch back, like, oh, like it was pretty painful. My mom at that point was like, are you okay? She didn't understand that when I told the lady that I was having contractions. She still didn't know. But when she saw me arching back, she was like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? I told her, I've been having contractions. And she just looked at me like, are you serious? She's like, are you serious? You didn't think to mention that? In her Cuban voice. You're right. You guys, you should listen to your moms, and you should tell your mom stuff because they know more than us. And so we're getting wheeled up to OB triage, and I tell the girl up at the desk the same thing. 37 weeks, 5 days. My blood pressure is 145 over 90 something. I don't remember. And I think I'm having contractions. We started the paperwork real quick, you know, quick little things. Did my weight, sent me over to the triage room where there's lots of beds together, and put me up on a bed. First thing I did was she gave me a cup. She said, go pee in this cup. So I went to go pee in the cup. I went back to the bed. I laid down. They put the monitor on me. I hate those arm cuffs. The ones that go here, those things are so painful, and I just hate them so much. I prefer the ones here. Or even if you could do it here, much better than up here. So before they even put the monitors on me, for the heart rate monitors for the babies, or the contraction monitors, the thing takes my blood pressure. My blood pressure was 150 over almost 100. I'm gonna say it was like still in the 90s, but almost 100, so like a 98, 99. Everything started to move pretty damn quick after that. So things went downhill fast. I got to the hospital around 7:55, 8 o'clock. Yeah, more so. I remember looking at my phone and it was around that time. It was almost 8 o'clock. Yes, I took a long time to shower and get ready and get out the house because my mom had to shower, Fernando had to shower. And so they took my blood pressure. The nurse quickly took out her phone. She called. I wasn't really paying attention to anything because next to me, my mom was talking on the phone with my aunts and my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, telling them, we're at the hospital, so his blood pressure's high, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, she just, freaking Cubans, bro. The whole world knew. And so after she finished getting off the phone, I hadn't listened to what she was saying, but she says, okay, so I made your doctor aware, and he said, we're gonna keep you. We might either induce you tonight or tomorrow, but we're definitely gonna keep you. Yeah, no, as soon as she finished saying that, they took the blood pressure one more time. I was already in 150s over 100s. That's dangerously high for a pregnant woman. For even not a pregnant woman, that's dangerously high. The results of my urine came back, and like they came back so fast. I guess because of that blood pressure, they had pushed it to go quick, and I did have protein in my urine. Turns out I had just started preeclampsia. So even though I got the call the day before that no, I didn't have preeclampsia, everything came back good. Things happen fast. Preeclampsia is like this. So she took out her phone again, and this time she had her phone out. It was only one nurse, and then I see two more nurses come in. I'm like, when did she even call for backup? I was the only person in triage that night. I'm like, when did she even call for more nurses? I don't remember. Okay, so one nurse is putting on the baby's heart rate monitor, and the other nurse is trying to put my compression socks on. And I was like, what is going on? They weren't talking to me. My other nurse was on the phone with my doctor. They were talking so fast and everything was happening so fast. And because my blood pressure was up, I really wasn't all there. And I really think that because of how things went, my blood pressure kept going up. They were taking my blood pressure every 5 minutes on the dot. My blood pressure by the third reading, which was the final reading, was 160s over 110s, 115s. That was it. The nurse told me, nope, your doctor's coming in now. My doctor walks in. As soon as she says that, I'm like, you were in the hospital? I had no idea. He walks in still chewing his dinner. He tells me, I just got out of having dinner with my wife. And I'm like, you're still on the bite? Like, were you having dinner downstairs? It was crazy. And he's like, your pressure's really high. We're gonna have a C-section now. What? What are you talking about? What? Oh my God. I started freaking out, and I get this really bad nervous laugh. Like really bad nervous laugh, and I could not stop laughing, and I was contracting. So the pain and the nervous laugh just made me laugh more, and every time they were trying to do something, my contractions started picking up. So I was like in pain. They checked my cervix. I was dilated. I was only 2 to 3 centimeters dilated though, so because they were still kind of a little bit apart. They were painful because it was back labor. I was in back labor. Not fun. It really is not fun at all. And when the doctor told me that, my mom whisked out that phone with the poor little English that she knew at the time. She understood it all. She whisked out the phone. Fernando was there. He was like, no, I'm gonna go get the bags. Fernando went and got the bags at home without me even like having time to react. So the anesthesiologist comes in. I have 3 nurses around me. My doctor's talking to me. The anesthesiologist comes in with paperwork. He starts talking to me. Everybody's talking to me at the same time. I was going insane. My mom's freaking out next to me. And every time this blood pressure cuff like starts to go off, they didn't even get to my 4th reading, and they disconnected me and started wheeling me out to the OR. Fernando had just left. Luckily, we lived really close. My mom lived really close to the hospital because Fernando had just left to go get the bags. And when they were putting the compression socks on, I was ready. They kind of cleaned my belly and quickly shaved where the incision area was. Like that was all after I had been disconnected and had already started to move the bed. It was all at one time. I was getting wheeled out to the operating room. My mom was about to go in with me because Fernando was not there yet. And as soon as I'm getting into the OR, Fernando gets it. Oh, thank God. I did not want to do this without Fernando. So Fernando gets there and it was, I don't even remember what time it was. Everything was just going way too fast. I was freaking out. My blood pressure kept going up because I was freaking out. Everybody was freaking me out, all the nurses and everything. I was just, when I got into the operating room, they quickly put me on the operating table to put in, I guess, the epidural. I was contracting, so they had to take a break. Like they couldn't put my epidural in for a little bit because every time they would go about to, I was like, no, contraction. And I would hunch back so fast. Oh my God, it was insane. It was a really scary time. I think that was my first major surgery. Other than that, I've only ever gotten my wisdom teeth done. So my contraction finally passes and quickly the nurse holds me down. She's like, don't move. And the guy goes and cleans my back. I can feel it. It's nice and cool. And he's like, don't move. I'm putting the needle in. And they put that needle in. I didn't even have time to feel anything. Truthfully, I did not feel a thing except for the cold from when they cleaned the area. I didn't feel a darn thing. And then after that, the nurse helped me put my feet up, and quickly, like they had just taken out the, I guess, epidural or put it in, I don't know what, because I couldn't tell. And my legs started getting all tingly and warm and cold, and I was like, oh, am I supposed to feel like this? I started feeling kind of like, I don't know, like if you smoked a joint, but half your, like from your chest down, is completely asleep, like that. And they laid me down. They put a nose cannula in for oxygen because I guess that's just what they do to everybody. They put my arms to the side. This was like, I was really scared that they were gonna like strap my arms down because I'm claustrophobic. And if I find myself in a situation where I can't move my arms or my arms are confined or any part of me is confined, I would have freaked out. I would have totally freaked out. And at that point, my blood pressure was up, so I could have had a panic attack at any moment. They call, after that, like it went so fast, they call Fernando in. Fernando comes to sit down next to me, and you know, they're just talking to, the doctors are talking to me, the nurses are talking to me, but I really didn't feel good. I didn't feel good. I mean, my blood pressure was high, hello. And they had given me magnesium, like right before I got into the OR, and that crap made me so, like, it made me go in and out a lot. So like I was getting the C-section done, and I was just kind of like there. There was times I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Like I felt like it went so fast. My son was born at 8:55 p.m. 8:55 p.m. I had got into the hospital around 8. That is how fast everything happened. It was just like the craziest experience ever. And all I remember, oh, I'm gonna get teary-eyed. Excuse me. All I remember was as soon as I heard Lucas cry, I was just so relieved. I started crying, and I just felt like this huge weight off my shoulders, and I was just so happy. I lived my whole pregnancy with really bad anxiety that something bad would happen. So even up to the last day, I always carried a heart Doppler on me. I used it all the time. I'd even be at work. I'd even be at work and go into the bathroom to check his heart rate, make sure he was still there. And then he cried, and I hadn't seen him yet. And I just started crying because I was so relieved. I wasn't in love yet. I was just relieved that he was okay, and, you know, everything came out okay. And then they brought him. Fernando started crying too. They brought him to the side to clean him off and everything. And that's the first time I saw him, and I was just even more relieved because I heard him, but I hadn't seen him. And I was just, it was just a rush of adrenaline and relief, and I still couldn't believe that happened. I hadn't gotten in my brain that I had just given birth. I had my son with me. I didn't have time to process all that, like how you go into labor and you're like, oh, it's gonna happen soon, he'll be with us. That didn't happen because everything went so fast. And I was really thankful. I really was. That everything was okay. My boy was okay. He weighed 7 pounds, 11 ounces, and he was only 19 inches long. Little small thing, but he looked really cute and fat. Fernando got to hold him first, and then they brought him over to me. They brought him over to me, and I got to touch his skin for the first time. And I kissed his little cheek. Gosh. Being a mom is hard, but it's definitely a blessing. That was like one of the best days of my life. And then Fernando took him over to the recovery room. They had to, get footprints, take some blood to do some testing, give him some shots, whatever. And I was still in the recovery room, and I just remember I couldn't stop crying. But then I started feeling a little bit sick, and like I couldn't breathe. And I told the anesthesiologist, and I think he said something about I'll give you some more oxygen or something like that. And so I think he did something like that, and the next thing I know, I'm getting wheeled out. Well, first I remember the part where they had to move me from one bed to the other in the operating room, and I couldn't help because first of all, I couldn't feel from the chest down. But I remember trying to help them with my arms. That was a mess. I'm a big girl, okay? So that was a mess. And I'm getting wheeled over into the recovery room, and I'm still so out of it from this magnesium. Like, this magnesium thing is no joke. And my blood pressure was still reading really high. They had my blood pressure cuff on me in the OR, and it kept taking my blood pressure. It just kept being really high. It wasn't going down. And so in the recovery room, like as soon as I'm wheeled in, I just saw Fernando holding Lucas. And I was just like, oh my God, like, my boyfriend's dad. Like, it was the most surreal picture ever. Fernando holding a baby. It was insane. And in the recovery room, as soon as they wheeled me in and set me up, they gave the baby back to me. Well, they gave the baby to me. I hadn't been able to fully hold him yet. They gave the baby to me, and I got to latch him on for the first time. That's another story. That was the first and last time he latched properly with assistance. And I was still really in and out at that point. When I got out of the operating room, he was born at 8:55. So I thought, oh gosh, so it must be like 9 something. No, when I got to the operating room, when I got to the recovery room, it was already 10 something. I asked Fernando, I was like, what time is it? He's like, almost 11. I'm just like, what the hell are you just talking about? He was born at 8:55. And Fernando goes, yeah, you were in the operating room after I left for a while. I'm like, what the heck just happened? Where did that huge chunk of time go? That magnesium drip, though. That magnesium drip. And I felt like I looked like crap. And afterward, my family, oh my God, my doctor was so mad at me because my blood pressure was high. I was not supposed to have any visitors. I was supposed to be very calm. Everything was supposed to be really quiet. Just Fernando, the baby, and I. He came in after the surgery. I hadn't seen my surgeon after he took the baby out and closed the incision or whatever. I don't remember what he did. I hadn't seen him anymore. He stormed into that recovery room, so pissed off. He's like, I just walked past your room. Yeah, I'll just say room. I just walked past your room and there's like a whole party in there. And I'm just like, I'm on the magnesium drip, like, what? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I was holding my baby. I was in bliss and out of it. It turns out that I had my family all in there at like 11 o'clock at night. They were already in my room. I don't even know how they got in there, first of all, because supposedly visiting time's only till 8 or 9. Hispanics find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then my freaking mom and my stepdad come into the recovery room. Nobody's supposed to go into the recovery room except the one who's in recovery, the baby, and the daddy, or the person who's holding the baby after surgery. So we got more in trouble. I'm on magnesium, my blood pressure's high, I'm already getting in trouble. That's just making me feel worse. My blood pressure is getting higher. Yeah, I had to kind of like, you guys need to go. I just had to kind of kick my family out. So I kick my family out. I go they wheel me into back into my room. Here I am in my bed, not able to move. I still couldn't feel anything. I was in and out a lot. I like, when you feel like you close your eyelids, then you wake up, and you're like, did I ever fall asleep? That's how I felt. And I'm getting wheeled back into my, oh, somebody's gonna bark. Nope, never mind. I'm getting wheeled back into my room, and my family's there, but only my mom and my stepdad, if I remember correctly. Yeah, only my mom and my stepdad. I don't know. I was really out of it. The 3 days that I was there, that they had me on that magnesium drip, I had a catheter for 24 hours. I couldn't get up out of the bed for 24 hours because my blood pressure was so high. All I remember is people would come in, I would say hi, and that's it. I couldn't remember anything else. My cousin showed me a video and I was holding onto the bed railing like this with my mouth wide open and snoring. I looked like crap. If I can, I'm gonna put some pictures up into the video so you guys can see what I'm talking about. These are really embarrassing. I look like crap. I felt like crap, but I want to show you guys exactly what I mean by I was in and out. So that's pretty much my birth story. Everything else is really just postpartum story, and I don't want to get emotional. The whole postpartum with Lucas was a story in itself. It was very difficult. We had a lot of issues, but this is where my birth story ends. I was still in and out of the hospital because of preeclampsia after I had the baby. Preeclampsia is no joke. Please, anybody who's pregnant, be very wary of your blood pressure, especially in the last trimester. That's where it starts going downhill. Take your blood pressure, the blood pressure cuffs, or you can find some for $30 if that, or borrow one from somebody you know. Oh, my daughter's coughing. Borrow one. Be careful of blurry vision, headaches that won't go away. Stay very hydrated. Be careful of swelling. That was my only symptom, swelling. You know, and if you have fear that you have preeclampsia, whatever time it is, just go straight to the OB and triage. Don't waste your time calling anybody. You can go in as many times as you want, okay? It's never a bother to them. It's better to keep you and the baby safe than, you know, God forbid something bad happen. And this is where I let you guys go. I'm sorry for crying. I don't know I didn't think I was gonna get emotional, but I hope you enjoy my video, and I hope to see you guys soon. I will definitely be talking about my birth story with Elizabeth sometime soon, but give me some time because I gotta recover from these emotions. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.